Okay, so you guys already saw the title of this video, so we're just gonna jump right into it and say that we got engaged. I like that. How does it feel?
Feels great.
Yes, very exciting. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about how it went down, what the process looked like, but specifically, of course, because you guys know what we do, talk about the cost side of things. So everything money related in the entire process of getting engaged, and then we'll take it from there. But first off the top, I wanted to say as a quick recap or reminder for anyone who's either new or been here for a bit but hasn't heard our story in a little while. We've been dating for just over 8 years now. I guess now past dating, but we had been dating for 8 years. Our 8-year anniversary was just this past August. And we've been pretty locked in since the beginning of our relationship, I would say. Less than a year after we started dating, we moved to Toronto together after graduating university. We've been living together for a long time now.
In this exact same place, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's true. The exact same place we've been for the last over 7 years now. What else? We started our YouTube channel a few years after dating, and then we did it full time, took it full time 4 years ago exactly, actually, just this past September. All this is to say that we have been very committed, definitely partners in life and everything we do for quite a long time now. We just weren't in a rush to get engaged. We were really focused on enjoying life together, building our foundation, obviously building our business full time as entrepreneurs. That's a lot of work, a lot to balance in the back end too. So that was kind of our priority for a long time. But I guess just over a year ago is when we were like, okay, we're ready to get engaged. We want to do it. Let's start making this happen.
The time was right.
So we started having those conversations somewhere around the middle of last year. And then I think we were just consistently talking about it, but nothing specific happened until February of this year when Dennis actually asked me if I wanted to go ring shopping with him. So that's what really started the whole process. Yeah, so we're gonna have him actually jump in and go over more in detail how that happened and yeah, all the behind the scenes.
So initially when we were kicking things off, the plan that I made was to actually go and visit the big retail jewelers. So think your Tiffany's, your People's, your Maison Burke's, really the big stores to see what was out there, to see what the different designs were, just to kind of get a feel for, you know, it's actually really easy to walk into some of these stores. You don't really need to know what you want or anything like that. It's just you walk in and you're there. So yeah, that was basically the plan initially. And
I liked that plan too off the top because for me, I didn't really know too much about the engagement ring experience or what I wanted even. I know what I thought looked nice when I saw videos or pictures of other people's rings. So I had that idea, but I didn't know it would look good on me, exactly what I wanted, how the process worked. I feel like I was a little intimidated maybe at first. So I really liked that he made the plan and had something in place for us to just go explore and get into it that way.
Now our first experience was actually really, really good. It was at Maison Burke's. Now I'm not sure if anyone's too familiar with them, but they're basically the equivalent of like a Tiffany's or a People's, like I said before, just like a really big retail jeweler. And our experience there was really, really great. Shout out to Louisa, who was the sales associate that actually helped us. We basically walked in and despite us not knowing anything, she gave us like all the beginner information. I'd heard of the 4 C's kind of prior to that, but I didn't really know what they were. And also it was really, I feel like it was a really good experience for you too.
Yeah.
From the perspective of like just talking to someone who was just really open and was just giving us just information.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we got lucky too because it was actually a snowstorm in Toronto that day.
Yeah.
So no one else was in the store. We had an appointment and they were like, are you sure you wanna come? It's crazy out. We were already close to the area, so we're like, yeah, well, we're coming. But no one else was there, so we had tons of time. We were there for at least an hour and a half, I think.
I feel like that made it the perfect experience.
Yeah, and I felt more comfortable because I was kind of nervous.
There.
Yeah, yeah, I really liked that part. And like Dennis said too about the 4 C's and all the info she gave, what was really nice, and maybe it was even better since no one was there, she kind of gave the cost differences too. And like what you don't need to worry about. She's like, sure, you could go up this level and look or not whatever, but you don't need to. There's actually a minimal difference in look for the cost, things like that, which was really useful.
Also, I do want to point out that the last time I'd heard of the 4 C's was one of my friends trying to explain it to me, and they were kind of making it seem like there was this like really like complicated thing, but it's literally the most basic, like we'll say what they are. It's what is it? It's clarity, color, cut, and carat.
Nice.
Right? So super, super easy. You yourself within the process, and we'll talk about this further as we, continue on with the story, but there's not really much you need to worry about. And this whole feeling of not knowing, like just push it out the window because it's not that serious. So we basically spent like 1.5 hours within the store just, with Steph trying on different rings, super, super chill process. And then from there, we actually took a few months off of ring shopping until, what was it?
May.
May?
Yeah,
so in May was when we actually went went to Tiffany's, and that was just like an unfortunate experience, and I was glad to be out of there and be done with it.
Yeah, basically it should have been the exact same type of experience, but we just didn't get as lucky, I guess, with the sales associate we got.
She was really rude.
Yeah, like nothing
That's what it
specific
was.
happened, just rude and off. But pretty much right away when we got there, we could tell that was the vibe, and we looked at each other, and I was like, I wanna go. But it was still good to get the experience of seeing what it's like at these big retail stores, and that's what kind of Dennis reminded me after as well. When else would we go in here and do it? And if anything, we have this information to share back to, how the process works. And again, I just tried on a few different styles to see what looked good on my finger. Although I will say, really quick, for me, it's funny because I guess I don't know if you call it like the sample size that all the rings are, wouldn't get past this knuckle for me, which maybe that's normal, I don't know. But based on the size of my finger, so it's hard to actually tell what something would look like when it's way up there, which was an interesting experience too, but anyway.
Ultimately, it wasn't really that big of a deal because we were never really intending on buying from any of these big retail jewelers in the first place. And that was for a few reasons. One, we definitely preferred looking at the smaller local spots. Two, we didn't like the prices that the big retail jewelers were offering. And number three, which is something that we actually didn't know until we went to Maison Burks for the very first time, was that a lot of these big retail jewelers only have mined diamonds. And those are the only types of diamonds that they deal with and work with.
And that was pretty much the main thing we knew off the top, is that we didn't want to go with a mined diamond. It was an absolute no-go for us for a few different reasons that you'll talk about in a second, but we wanted a lab-grown diamond, if any diamond at all. So that was on our mind.
On our end, a lab-grown diamond just made more sense from a price perspective, from an ethics perspective. And on top of that, that's just what we had in mind to begin with that we wanted to go with. Now, there is also a moissanite ring that you can get as well, or a moissanite stone, I guess you could say. And I'll talk about that in a second. But when it comes to the difference between lab grown and mined diamonds, they're actually chemically the same. Both, like, they look and feel and are the same, but they come from different places. A mined diamond obviously comes from the earth, whereas a lab grown diamond is created within a lab. But once again, chemically, they're the same. Moissanite stones are a different option that you can absolutely get depending on your research and what you're looking for your ring. But when it comes to how they're made and how they actually look very similar to a diamond, but chemically they're actually made of a synthetic material, so very different from a diamond, of course. But yeah, when it comes to, I guess, pricing, if you want to say, the mined diamonds are the most expensive, and then you have your lab-grown diamonds, and then you have your moissanite stones that follow that.
And from our understanding, from us being involved in this process and the research, there's a big gap in price between mined diamonds
Very big gap.
and then lab-grown diamonds. And there's still a gap between the moissanite stones and lab-grown diamonds, just less so than the gap between the two different types of diamonds specifically. I will say for me, I wasn't set on either the lab-grown diamond or the moissanite stone originally. The mined diamonds were out for us for sure,
definitely.
but I was open to either one of the other two stones. For us, it was more so just that the lab-grown diamond still kind of worked for our budget once we learned about the price, which we'll talk about in a second. So we kind of figured why not, but I wasn't against the moissanite stone at all either.
So from there, the next step in the process was naturally going to one of the smaller local spots. And I basically did a whole bunch of research. I talked to different friends who had gotten engaged previously, heard where they had went, did my own research, basically narrowed it down to like a few different spots, and then really narrowed it down to one particular spot that was called Livia Diamonds. And from there, we had our initial meeting. I guess got to actually meet the people at Livia. And then from there, it was basically just, we felt comfortable, and we just kind of like took it over from there and went with the process.
Yeah. It's interesting because at this stage we already went over to Maison Burks and Tiffany's. So I tried a bunch of different styles on, and at this point I had really solidified that I had the basics down. I wanted an oval diamond, lab grown, we decided at this point too, and a gold band, but that's kind of all I knew still. But I had that information this time going into our meeting originally at Livia, which was nice because instead of being like, I have no clue what I want.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, which is before it. Now I'm like, okay, we're looking for oval diamond, gold band, and now it's about figuring out what the little details and what's actually going to look best on my finger.
Yeah.
that was important to me. And I think I said that to you pretty early in the process. I just want it to be something simple that I know I'm gonna like for many, many years and decades. That's ideal for me. And then on top of that, one that'll actually look good on my finger. I have pretty like long fingers, so I just wanted something that complemented my actual, I was gonna say my body, I guess it's my body, my hand specifically. So that's what I was looking for, and that's what they helped with at Livia, which was awesome right off the bat. We talked about the size of the diamond, so basically the carats, that's the actual size of the diamond, what would look best on my finger.
At Livia, they actually showed us the different stones so that we could see what the different sizes would look like, right? So whether it was something that was more on the smaller side or something more on the bigger side, it really helped to narrow down like what the stone.
And that was interesting too, because the different carat sizes definitely impacts the price.
Absolutely.
But then on top of that, there's also balancing cost and what makes sense, and then what looks good on my finger too. And it was interesting because a lot of people think carat size is just based on the cost piece, which of course you have to factor that in, right? It's gonna be less expensive for a smaller diamond, more expensive for a bigger one. But you ideally shouldn't just be going big for the sake of big. Sometimes it can be too big for your finger and it doesn't look good, right? So it should really be based on that piece as well, which was really helpful.
I do also want to point out that when it comes to carat size, so carat size is actually the weight, right? So it's not even how big it is from that perspective. It's actually the weight. So you could have something that's more weight but looks smaller depending on what type of the stone you got, what style.
Style, that's
right.
What
So if you got if the difference between you getting like an oval, a princess cut, like. Yeah.
I like how Dennis knows more than me now. Like you're remembering it better than me. I remember my specific stuff and you remember the everything. So yes, that's a great point. So now that we narrowed it down to oval shape and style specifically, that's where it also is different. The different sizes is gonna be impacted more on the shape of ring that you got. Anyway, they basically showed us a bunch of different examples, which was really helpful. Also the band size, which was interesting. It's kind of more trendy in recent years, I think, to have a daintier, so smaller, it's measured in millimeters specifically, band. I know I knew that I didn't want one for my research that was going to be too small, where things will shift around. It's not as comfortable on your finger. So all those different things we worked on there.
To me, that was the smartest thing you did, actually. I didn't even know where you pulled that out of, but she was like, I want it a little bit thicker. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
For my research, I was more focused on the things that are more practical. I wanted to make sure it was something that'd be comfortable to wear for again a long period of time. So that's where I had that from. Okay, so again, the team at Livia really helped me nail down those details and also any other specific details that I wanted. There's a whole bunch of different features that we won't go too much into the details, but I did end up getting a diamond gallery rail, it's called, underneath the main diamond. Again, there's a mix of looks and also practicality of it, making sure that the diamond stays in place, how many prongs I wanted, the color of the prongs, all those things. We kind of settled on what I liked. And then it was back to Dennis's hands to actually bring it to life. He added some special features. I wanted him to do something that was a surprise to me, since obviously I was involved in the process first before that. So like an engraving, things like that. He did all of that at that point, so I was out of the process and he was into it from then on his own. But he actually took some clips throughout, which was really nice and exciting for me to look back on. So we'll insert some of them here of him going back and forth into the Livia Diamonds office and picking up the ring ultimately too.
All right, guys, so I'm on my way right now to pick up Steph's engagement ring, and I'm assuming she doesn't know where I'm at right now, but she does technically have my location on her phone. But yeah, this is something that's been in the works for like a few months now, so obviously super exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to see it and see the actual final product and what the ring looks like. So to kind of fill you guys in on the process a little bit, it's actually been a really seamless process, especially with the I guess like diamond jeweler that we have. It's been super simple. It's basically just been a bunch of meetings that we've had back and forth where we link up to kind of figure out what Steph likes and what she doesn't like. And then basically once we nailed what was gonna be like, I guess the final design, then it was up to me to kind of go back and forth with them, figure out what else I want included on the ring. So for example, like engraving, stuff like that. And yeah, I feel like this is the stuff that like no one really tells you, especially as a guy. Like there definitely, at least from when I was looking, there wasn't that much content on this stuff. So I don't know, I feel like it's super helpful to know at least the gist of how the process kind of goes and what you should expect. All right, so I'm just leaving the jeweler right now. There was a bit of a mishap. Basically, the engraving that I wanted on the ring didn't actually end up getting on the ring. So I'm gonna have to come back in a few days once they take it back to the shop, put the engraving in, and then I can finally pick up the ring. So a little bit of a mishap, but you know, it is what it is. Wait a couple days, actually be able to get the ring. All right guys, so we're back. We're gonna try and get the ring today. hopefully everything is good, everything is engraved, and yeah, hopefully we get to walk out and I get to show you guys what the ring looks like today. All right, guys, so the bag has been secured. I got everything literally in this little bag right here. So we got the ring, we got the prototype ring, and yeah, I'll put up a picture for you guys to see so that you guys actually know what the ring looks like and what the final product ended up looking like. Super excited.
All right, so this is the final ring for anyone who wanted to see it again up close right now on my hand. Again, details for everyone so that we have it all summarized for you too. Lab grown diamond, it's oval shape. It's a 2.1 millimeter gold band. That's what we went with. It has platinum prongs, 4 prongs around it. And the diamond is 2.5-ish carats. That's what we landed on there.
Yeah, and when it comes to the actual cost of the ring, so in total it was $4,200 pre-tax, and then $47.86, I believe.
46.
$47.46 after tax.
Yes, that was
There
the
you
total
go.
cost. We talked a little bit about budget at the beginning and then kind of throughout the process as we checked in once we learned more information and actually did our research more. So we kind of had in mind ideally 4,000, maybe up to 5,000 in that range would be our goal. So it kind of fell right into that, which was great. Kind of just shows that we had accurate research based on where we were actually going to go and the conversations you'd had beforehand.
Yeah, and for anyone who's wondering where the money actually came from, it came from my savings.
Yes.
So I know we'd gotten a few questions about that. It came from my actual savings account, just in case anyone wanted to know.
And obviously, and whenever he was spending money on this too, he wasn't sharing that during those few months, right?
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming. We had done the shopping together, but until the actual ring was bought, until the proposal, we were just, I wasn't looking at the credit card statements type of thing.
Okay, so now that's the ring itself, but that still leaves the actual proposal. Like once I had the ring, I still had to actually, figure out the process of how I was actually gonna get the ring over to Steph and on her finger. Okay. So initially I'd actually planned on doing it on our trip. So quick recap, guys, we went to London and Paris. That was a couple months ago at this point. But initially my thoughts were, that would be such a great place to do it just in general. She wouldn't be expecting it, right? We're literally traveling. When we travel, she literally, for the most part, has schedules down to a T. So if I randomly surprised her with this, it'd be like, whoa.
I would have been very shocked. I was for sure thinking that you wouldn't have done it during then. So yes, I would have been surprised.
So that was the plan. Didn't quite work out that way because I couldn't get the ring on time. Basically, from when we'd had our initial discussions, when we were going through the entire ring process, once everything was approved, there wasn't enough time between our trip and me getting the ring. So I kind of had to throw that on the back burner, despite the fact that I'd actually reached out to photographers in the UK. I'd reached out to I'd been looking up different places to potentially do it, different locations. Basically, scrap that, and I moved on from that idea to instead I remembered that Steph had always wanted to go to this place really close to Toronto called Prince Edward County. It's about 2 hours away from the city, and I had it in my mind that she'd always wanted to go. She thought we'd probably never go, and in particular go to this specific hotel that's in Prince Edward County. So in my mind I was like, great, that'd be the perfect plan.
And fun for me because we got to end up doing an extra trip basically. It's like a close trip, but still it was fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, once I had those two things locked in, then it was mainly just planning what the couple days would look like. So I basically planned it for it to be a getaway. Once again, it's 2 hours away. You guys know that we don't have a car, so I had to go out and rent a car, which worked out fine. So anyways, going back to day one, driving day, what we did was we actually, as soon as we got on the road, I put in the address, told her to look away. I think she could see that it was about 2 hours away, so I don't know what kind of calculations she was doing in her head to figure out where we were going. But I was trying to throw her off the entire time while we were in the car. I'm like, where do you think we're going? Do you think we're going here, going there? And that was basically the drive. And then we eventually got to our first spot, which was a winery. I don't remember what the winery was called.
Norman Hardy.
Norman Hardy, there you go. So we went to Norman Hardy Winery, and the reason that I had chosen this winery was because it was the perfect first stop where we could go tour the vineyards for a couple hours, have some wood oven pizza, and then finally go in and check in at the hotel, which is what we did. So finished up things there, checked in at the hotel, went back and forth with the people at the front desk while Steph was upstairs in the room, like getting settled, made sure that everything was good to go. And then from there, we kind of just we got ready.
We basically just got ready for dinner right away.
Got ready for dinner. I had a reservation at the hotel. They put us right by the window, which is perfect because then I could see if what they were doing was in line with what we had talked about. So during the dinner portion, I was actually I had my head peeled out where I kept looking outside to see if they had everything prepared and ready to go. She probably thought it was really weird.
This is when I officially was like, all right, maybe tonight's the night, because he's really like looking around and everyone kept smiling at me really big, like all the people from the hotel. So I'm like, all right, well, something's happening. I'm like, I was trying to just like not try and know what was happening. At that point, I'm like, all right. And then I started to kind of feel nervous because I'm like, well, where is it happening now? I was so curious.
I think we went back upstairs for a little bit, made sure that everything was ready to go. And then I asked her to go for a walk outside, I'm pretty sure. And then that's when it actually happened. And what's funny is that, I don't know if you were nervous, but I could feel like I don't know, I guess nerves coming from you, but I think it was more so you wondering whether this is actually where
That's what I wasn't sure. Well, also because it's outside of the hotel on the beach, very, very beautiful, stunning. There's people eating on the balcony type of area upstairs and some people on the beach. So I was like, is this where we're I just, again, like what is happening?
She really loves knowing things.
I do, that's my problem. But honestly, I was like happy. I was like smiling, nervous. I was just like, what's happening?
But yeah, I said my words and then went down on one knee. She said yes.
Yes, I did say yes.
Let's confirm.
Yes.
It was a yes. Oh yeah. Also, our photographer eventually came out and started taking more photos.
So it's not like an hour
I don't even know when
you
noticed the photographer, but we spent some time taking photos of the photographer, had some champagne, and then called our families, sat basically like in that same spot listening to the water.
So nice.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful.
It was perfect. And then after that, we just kind of had the next 2 days to relax. We enjoyed the hotel. It has like a sauna, walking by the water, went to other wineries. It was just really nice. It was fun that you planned it in that way too. I really liked it. But I feel like obviously the actual proposal time was the most memorable and that whole night. Now,
when it comes to the total price of the engagement, or our getaway, as I like to call it, the total cost was $2,969 for our 3-day getaway.
So that was like hotel, car, food, everything that you took care of while we were there. Yeah. And then obviously ring on top of that separately too. I also wanted to highlight really quick. So obviously when you actually proposed, you gave me the ring. But you also gave me later that night the prototype back too, which I don't even think we highlighted that much, talking about getting the ring and that process. But what was nice about Libya Diamonds is that they also give you the prototype. So that was cool. It's like in a separate box, which is very fun. But it's another version. It's like a fake version of the ring. So you can see there's the two of them right there, and that's useful. So whenever we travel or just whenever I want to, if it makes more sense to not worry about the real one, I have this one too, which was a nice touch. Okay, so now we wanted to wrap up the video by actually talking about some of your questions. So when we shared the news on Instagram, we also asked if anyone had any questions about all of the money side to getting engaged, and of course wedding planning and the wedding topic as well. So I think at this point we've covered kind of everything there is to say about the engagement itself, so the proposal, all the costs and expenses involved in that, or that we chose to have involved in that based on what Dennis chose to do. The ring details, the cost of the ring. I think there's everything that we could have shared. So if you have any other questions about anything engagement and engagement ring, make sure you ask in the comments below. We can get back to you there too. But the wedding stuff we haven't talked about yet. So let's dive into that, because people had a lot of questions, of course, about wedding planning, specifically wedding budget, how much we want to spend, our ideas, what our priorities would be from a finance perspective when it comes to a wedding. So let's talk about it. So in general, off the top, we aren't planning on jumping right into detailed wedding planning right away. We kind of want to just enjoy this time, enjoy being engaged for a few months. Not really jump right into the next step off the bat.
I mean, I will say I do want, violins there. I do want Drake performing.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding.
This is news to me. No. Well, the conversations we have had so far is that we don't want to spend a crazy amount of money on a wedding. It's not something we're interested in doing. We have no interest in spending tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
Weddings can be so expensive. We know a lot of people in our lives who spent a lot of money on weddings, right? And so it's not something that we're really interested in doing on this one day. You guys know us, if you watch our videos, we're all about investing for our future, having a good future together, the foundation. We want to have a good marriage, not just a good wedding party. All of that's kind of our top line conversation that we've had. With that being said, we would love to celebrate with everyone that we love and who loves us and feed them good food and actually give them a good experience if they do attend anything that we host, right? So those things don't really go together. That's kind of where we're at so far.
It's really tough because, you know, there's the pull of, because at the end of the day, even if you want to do something, if you're someone who has, you know, a significant number of guests that are potentially going to be going, that price goes up major. And that doesn't even mean that you're spending on like a whole bunch of flowers and all these types of things that can also increase the cost of the wedding. Like, just having a large number of people increases the cost.
That's kind of what we've learned so far. Like you said, we're not jumping into wedding planning, but we've done some baseline research. And honestly, the biggest piece for the cost for a wedding at its baseline is just price per head, right? So if you have a lot of guests, just food, period, and the space to host them in, that's what really ups the price, right? So on our end, we're kind of like, we don't care that much. We want it to look nice and feel nice, sure, but that doesn't have to mean crazy decor or anything like that. I think that's pretty easy for us to say that can go when it comes to wedding budget for us. It's not a priority. It's more making sure it's having the people we want to have there and have good food, but that alone does really increase the price, right? So that's kind of where we're at right now, is figuring out that balance of what exactly we want to do. What we know is that we are pretty strict with ourselves on not wanting to spend crazy amounts of money, tens of thousands of dollars. But if we are going to do something, it's going to be prioritized around having the people we love there and feeding them good food. That's kind of our baseline so far. And I guess we'll kind of see from there. But otherwise, we'll keep you guys updated when there actually are more updates to come in the next few months or year, whenever it is that comes up. If you have any questions for us on any of these topics, again, engagement, proposal, ring, wedding costs, all of that, let us know in the comments. For now, I know that Dennis is very excited to have less expensive months coming up to wrap up the year. So
I'm extremely excited for that. So go me.
Go him and go us. We are very excited about all of it too. And I just wanted to say too, thank you to everyone who has already congratulated us as well. It's been really fun.
Thank you guys.
Yes, having everyone to celebrate
with. We really appreciate it. All right, so with that being said, guys, we just want to say thank you again for all the congratulations and all the support. Literally, a lot of you have been with us since the beginning, probably since the beginning of when we first initially started dating, I would say, in a way. So once again, thank you. And with that, we'll see you next week with another video.